He shattered a crystal chandelier with a single swing of a chair, laughter echoing as terrified diners froze in their seats. No one dared stop him, because everyone knew who his father was. But when a quiet waitress placed a trembling cup of tea in front of him and whispered 4 unexpected words, the most feared young man in the city felt something crack inside his chest. And from that moment on, nothing would ever be the same. The restaurant was called Luminara, a place where money whispered and power sat comfortably at every table. Gold-trimmed mirrors lined the walls, soft piano music floated through the air, and waiters moved like shadows trained never to disturb the illusion of perfection. On most nights, the guests were politicians, tycoons, and celebrities who came to be seen. But tonight, fear arrived before the appetizers. The doors slammed open without warning. Silence fell so fast it felt violent. Adrian Moretti stepped inside, leather jacket open, eyes cold, a crooked smile playing on his lips. He was young, too young to carry the reputation that followed him, but everyone in the city knew the name Moretti. His father, Victor Moretti, ruled the underworld with contracts written in blood and promises sealed with bullets. Adrian was the heir. Untouchable. Dangerous. Bored, behind him, his friends laughed loudly, already drunk on power before touching a single glass. "This place still smells like money," Adrian said, scanning the room like a predator. "Let's see if it screams too." The manager rushed forward, hands shaking, voice polite to the point of breaking. "Mr. Moretti, your table is ready." "Please, whatever you need." Adrian brushed past him, knocking a tray from a waiter's hands. Glass shattered. No apology followed. They took the largest table, ordered the most expensive bottles, and waited for nothing in particular. Adrian didn't come to eat. He came to feel something. Anything. Rage was easy. Destruction was familiar. When the steak arrived 5 minutes later than he expected, Adrian's patience snapped. He stood up so suddenly his chair crashed backward. "Do you know who I am?" he shouted, grabbing the plate and flinging it across the room. It exploded against the wall, sauce dripping like blood. Screams followed. Someone ran. Someone prayed. Adrian laughed. He kicked over tables, grabbed a chair, and swung it into a glass display. The chandelier above trembled, then shattered, raining crystals onto white tablecloths now stained with wine and fear. No one stopped him. No one, except the waitress who hadn't run. Her name was Elena. She was new, working double shifts to pay for her mother's medicine. Her hands shook as badly as everyone else's, but her feet refused to move. She watched Adrian, not with hatred, not with fear, but with something softer. Something dangerous. When Adrian finally stopped, breathing hard, eyes wild, Elena approached slowly. She didn't lecture him. She didn't beg. She placed a cup of tea on the table in front of him. "Chamomile." "Honey," her voice was barely louder than the piano music that had long since stopped. "You look tired," she said. "And lonely." The room froze again. Adrian stared at her, stunned, not by anger, but confusion. No one had ever spoken to him like that. Not without fear. Not without wanting something. "What did you say?" he asked quietly. Elena met his eyes. "I said, you don't have to break everything to be seen." For the first time in years, Adrian didn't know how to respond, and that terrified him more than any gun ever could. End of chapter 1. Hook. Adrian walked out without another word, but he took the tea with him. And that small, silent kindness would haunt him far longer than the sound of breaking glass. Adrian didn't sleep that night. The city lights blurred past his penthouse windows as he sat alone, the untouched cup of tea cold in his hands. Elena's words replayed in his mind like a curse he couldn't shake. "You look tired." And lonely. No one had ever dared describe him that way. People called him dangerous. Spoiled. A monster in training. Never lonely. He smashed glasses, yelled at shadows, but the emptiness stayed. Days passed. The story of the destroyed restaurant spread across the city. Luminara closed for repairs. Employees were laid off. Lives disrupted. Adrian heard it all, and for the first time, guilt crept in. Against his better judgment, he returned. The restaurant was quiet, half-lit, dust still settling. Adrian expected fear when he walked in. Instead, he saw Elena on her knees, scrubbing the floor alone. She looked up. Their eyes met. She didn't run. "I knew you'd come back," she said simply. "Why?" Adrian asked. "Because people who break things usually want to fix something they don't know how to name." Her words hit harder than any threat ever could. Adrian learned her story that day. The sick mother. The unpaid bills. The dream of becoming a nurse that felt farther away every year. She learned his, not the legend, but the boy raised in violence, taught that love was weakness and fear was currency. Kindness, he realized, was something he'd never been taught how to accept. Weeks passed. Adrian paid for the restaurant repairs anonymously. He helped employees find temporary work. He showed up, not as a tyrant, but as a man trying to understand who he was without his father's shadow. Victor Moretti noticed. "You're getting soft," his father warned. "Soft men don't survive." But Adrian had already tasted something stronger than power, choice. The final test came when Victor ordered Adrian to burn the restaurant down, to send a message to a rival. The old Adrian would have done it without blinking. Instead, Adrian stood between his father's men and Luminara's doors. "No," he said. That single word changed everything. Adrian walked away from the empire that night, leaving behind money, protection, and a name built on fear. It wasn't easy. It wasn't safe. But it was real. Months later, Luminara reopened. Adrian sat at a small corner table, no entourage, no jacket of power. Elena brought him a cup of tea. "You stayed," she said. "So did you," he replied. Outside, the city buzzed as always, but inside, something rare existed. Peace.